Bruno, are you able to see anything?
Yes, I can see.
Okay, I
It's
want to try and
everything.
put it on slide. Yesterday, it refused to go on slide for some reason. But let me try and let me know whether we are moving at all. Bruno, has it moved?
Yes, it has.
So what you're seeing is assignment 2.2.
No, the first page, thought leadership article and personal reflection paper. Then it's not fully like a slide. It's still under the presentation format.
Actually, from my end, I have moved to slideshow on the second. That means it's not moving. So allow me just to present it as just the presentation format as you can see it, but I will try and blow it up just so that we are all able to be together. I don't know why it doesn't move. Maybe it's a laptop I'm using. I don't know. Is it clearer now, Bruno?
Yeah, it's very clear.
Okay, great. So what I've done is, if you've read your syllabus or even the assignment, I've just copy pasted. But there are a few changes to this slide, and it's on the first sentence. The first sentence says 1,000 to 1,500 words plus or minus 10%. The UK has changed this to 1,000 to 2,000, maximum 2,000. There's no plus or minus. So your thought leadership article should be between 1,000 to 2,000 words and not more than 2,000. 2,000 is maximum. So please take note of that. Please take note of that. From the ones I've recently marked, if you restrict yourself to only 1,000, you will fail for sure, because it means there's a lot you haven't put in to spice up your article. So my advice is push yourself, stretch yourself to be able to put in a lot of useful content. If you can push yourself to between 1,500 to 2,000, that will be brilliant. Push yourself between 1,500 to 2,000. That way you can be on the safe side. The second part talks about this should be an article that communicates knowledge and an expert perspective through a narrative exposition of your topic of inquiry. By now, every one of you should have a topic of inquiry. As we read the article, we are asking ourselves, what new knowledge is this article giving us? We are also asking ourselves, can we hear the voices of the experts who've written or talked about the same issues that you are raising within this narrative? Is this article suitable for publication by a reputable business title? Now, back in the day when we began the CIPR program in 2010, they used to restrict this assignment to an article that can be published by Harvard Business Review. Thankfully, nowadays they've given the students a leeway to choose a publication of your choice within your country of origin and write for that publication. That's a good thing. So every one of you by now should have already thought, which publication am I targeting and who is the target audience that I'm targeting? Because once you have that publication in mind, you have already familiarized yourself with how that publication writes. You have familiarized yourself with the editorial guidelines of that publication. And if you have gone and done interviews maybe with the editor of that publication, they will be, if they're kind to you, to give you a link on their guidelines. Put that link within the part 2. It will show us that indeed you have aligned yourself to the requirements of that publication. The other thing we're looking at is this article well structured and written in a professional style with points and arguments supported by reference to the topic of inquiry? Basically, what this means is simple. You're writing for a business audience. So use business speak. Don't be casual in how you write this article. Use business speak. Every idea, every sentence that you write, the idea coming out from that sentence must be linked to the topic you have written on the cover page. We will be guided by that topic in every sentence we read. It has to be tied to that topic so that there is coherence and a logical flow of ideas. So be very, very careful about that. Again, this article should be based on the outcomes of your secondary research into the topic. Once again, we are back to research, guys. No one enjoys research. You know, I was having a prep session with the participants for the PRSK awards before they submitted their entries. And I kept on telling them, we don't like research, but this time PRSK has raised the bar that we will only award evidence-based campaigns. You can't tell us that because you had a brilliant event that you deserve to win. No. What is the evidence behind the phenomenal campaign that you did? Because every strategy is informed by research. Research is the bedrock of every strategy. So guys, we are back to secondary research. You will need to look out for literature, archives, published surveys, reports, anything you can get your hands on that is discussing the topic of the day. Again, in part 2, you will need to discuss to us a model or a theory that supports your article. So those of you that might want to talk to us something that is digital, that leans towards digital communication, you can use a model such as the PESO model, PESO. Those of you that are going to write something, of course, that leans heavily on PR, PR has so many models. You've learned even theories that can underpin any strategy. All that should only appear in part 2, not within the article. Now, you notice there I've written note. You should attribute your sources using a style that is appropriate to the target publication. What this means is, please remember, this is not an academic paper or an opinion piece that you have to use academic references for your article. Please, guys, part 1 is your thought leadership article. You do not need to use academic citation there. But for part 2, where you will need to give as many authors and all that, by all means, go ahead and cite the sources in part 2. Now, by now you all know that every assignment in CIPR has 2 parts, and I will get to that later. This is just an overview. The second part for this specific assignment is known as a personal reflection. Again, a maximum of 2,000 words. One of the things I noticed with your assignment 1, and some of you I had to call back, and it's not interesting when I have to call you back. Please, guys, be careful about the cover page. Always put your number, put the title, I think 4 of you had not put the title, and I had to call you to make sure you put the title. Please put the title on the cover page. Somebody else also had not put the number, the word count within the sections. Do you know that the UK is so petty that if you haven't done a good cover page, that's an automatic fail? So we took it upon ourselves to call you back and ensure that you've done the right thing. I'm not so sure we will have the luxury to do that with this coming assignment. So guys, please, your cover page is extremely important. Then the other thing is, please be careful. Don't put a word count that is way below the required leeway, because that will be an automatic fail. If you put a word count for part A, now let's say the thought leadership, that is way below 1,000, you will fail. If you put a word count in part B that is again way below 1,000, you're going to fail. So guys, let's be very, very careful. The cover page is the easiest thing to ignore because you're tired, you're in a hurry, and you want to send the assignments quickly to us because you're doing it last minute. Again, try and finish early so that you have enough time to go through the assignment. Then on the 4th, by 5 p.m., you are sending something at the comfort of your home, of your office, and you're not stressed out so that you don't forget to send 2 assignments. One in Word that does not have the cover page and the references, and the other one as a PDF. Do you know, you're all listening to me now and agreeing, but you will be so shocked that a few of you did not do that. So please, guys, please let's adhere. Let's be careful. I want all of you to pass. I want to brag about you guys everywhere I am, and I have a habit of doing that in many places. So please, let's be careful. Let's do very, very well. Moving on. Now, what you can see right there is a 7-part framework. Alex, can you see that? I want you to read for us what's on that slide.
Right. So 7-part framework. So I'm going to read the point. So first point is a statement of problem that constitutes 10% of the mark. Then the second one is why current approaches fall short, another 10%. The third is high level solution, 10%. Then key elements of solution including examples, 40%. 5 is benefits of adopting solution, 10%. 6 is key barriers and how to overcome them, 10%. And finally, call to action, another 10%. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alex. Now, this is just one of the many writing styles you can use to come up with an article. Jude, you earlier on mentioned you are a journalist, or you've written in a journalistic approach before, Jude?
Yes, Anne.
Do you use the inverted pyramid style, or what do you use when you're writing your journalistic articles?
Exactly, I use the inverted pyramid style.
So for the ones who don't understand the inverted pyramid style, please talk to us about that.
Just I want to presume that all of us are very well versed with that kind of structure, most of us here. Of course, the inverted pyramid style, just as the drawing, suggests, you begin with what is the most important. That is, you begin with what makes news, the subject matter, the what. Actually, you begin with the what. Then from the what, you go into details of where, when, and then maybe to summarize it, it's something to do with the 5 W's and 1 H. What, when, where, who is involved, and then of course the H stands for why. Basically, that's what I can say. Thank you, Anne.
All right. Just to help Jude there. So the inverted pyramid style, that's what many journalists use a lot. The first part, you begin with the most important and end with the least important. So your first paragraph is the lead paragraph that answers the 5 W's and H, and then now it goes in decreasing of importance. There's another model called the IDA model. Some of you maybe are familiar with the IDA model. The IDA, which is AIDA, you grab our attention. There's so many attention grabbing devices. So you say something interesting, either a shocking statistic, you throw in a rhetorical question, you can start with self-disclosure or a very interesting story. There are very many ways you can grab the attention. I is interest. With the interest, you go back to your subject line. What are you telling us about? You're trying to get our interest on a matter. Then details, give us details on your subject line. And then finally is the A, which is action, calling us to action. What do you want us to do based on what you have talked to us about? For me, I find the 7-part framework very, very easy. But this is not to say you should restrict yourself to the 7-part framework. I use this just to guide you, to just give you some form of structure and direction. Now, if you're going to use the 7-part framework, please, and I repeat, please, do not put this as subheadings. Let us not see statement of problem. Let us not see why current approaches fall short. High-level solution, key elements, benefits, barriers, call to action. A good call to action does not have many subheadings. It can have 3 maximum, not more. Be very interesting. So begin by telling us what is the issue that this thought leadership article is addressing, hence your issue management class. So look for the issue, address the issue. Then once you've addressed the issue, and when you're introducing this topic, introduce it in an exciting way. Beginning with your topic, beginning with your title. Have a catchy, short title. In writing, we call it the KISS principle, K-I-S-S. Keep it short and simple. So use the KISS principle in crafting your topic. Then when you get to the introduction, make it interesting. Make us want to go on reading. Help us to just get into the mood of what you're talking about. Then after you've given us a good attention-grabbing device out there, now introduce your issue. Immediately you've introduced your issue, support why you think it's an issue. How will you support that? You'll have done research. You will have done both qualitative and quantitative research. You will have interviewed people who are affected by that issue, or who impact that issue, or who influence that issue. You will even interview experts who have written about the issue or who have spoken about the issue. If you cannot interview them, you will go to the writings that these experts have written, or you will go to the media sites where these experts have talked about that issue, and you will come up with conclusions based on your content analysis, and that will inform that this indeed is a problem because of XYZ. So that is how you will introduce your issue and support it with evidence. After you've introduced your issue and supported it with evidence, then you will tell us, so what has been done in the past to resolve this issue? And how come it is still an issue if stuff has been done in the past? Again, that is the second point there, why current approaches fall short. And be informed and be guided by the percentages there. Your issue, if you're writing an article of 200 words, it means your issue should comprise of 200 words only. Then now if you're telling us why current approaches have fallen short, again, another 200 words. So now you have told us why, what's been done in the past, what's currently being done, and why it's falling short. The next point should be your aha moment. What will be the X factor of your article? What is the aha? We need to read and be like, oh, okay. That is the high-level solution you have discovered from your research, because you will come up with a solution to this issue from the research you will have done. So choose intelligent people who will help you come up with a good solution. And when I say intelligent, I mean key stakeholders who are informed of what's going on, who influence, who impact, or who are affected. Because you'd be surprised. The patient sometimes has the answer to the solution on what's bothering their body. So approach it in such a way and then bring it out in an in an exciting way. This is where maybe you can put even graphics in your article. Please put graphics to spice up and make your article colorful. So after you've come up with your high-level solution, which I'm calling the X factor or the aha moment, now tell us, how do we need to, what are the key elements of the solution? Give us examples. What do I mean here? Please take note that this takes 40%. This takes the bigger bulk of your article. Benchmark with, if this issue has been tackled in Norway, in Sweden, in the Netherlands, in Uganda, in Rwanda, in South Sudan, give us those examples, put them in the article and tell us how they went about with that issue. So you need to do so much research because this has to be well benchmarked with global, regional, and local examples. After you've done that, please remember that should be the biggest part of your article. Then tell us what's in it for us. In every sentence of your article, you should be answering the question, what's in it for the reader? Anytime you're writing anything, we always use the you approach. You approach, where you put yourself in the reader's shoes. You empathize with the reader. No one will take something to read if at all it's not meeting a gap in their life. It must meet a need or a gap either in their personal life or at work, or it's going to improve their career in one way or the other. So what are the benefits of adopting the solution? That should take 10%. Because we don't live in an ideal world, also let us know what are the key barriers and how can we overcome them. Nothing is ever on a straight line, never, never, never. So the topic you will write to us about must have some gray areas. So what are those gray areas? What are those barriers that will hinder the adoption of the high-level solution you've spoken to us earlier about? Don't spend too much time there. Only spend 10%. So that's again 200 words. Please make sure you give us the barriers and how we can overcome them. There's nothing bad as being given challenges and you don't know how to overcome those challenges. Remember, you're not the expert. So it means you've got to do thorough research to inform this part of your article. And the final thing is end strong. What's a call to action? I'll tell you, the articles that I read and marked were very disappointing. And the same reading I've given you guys is the same reading I've given cohort 2, because sadly, I only had one excellent pass. Only one, but he makes me afraid because he forgot to fill out who the target audience and the target publication are. Imagine only that. And I'm crossing my fingers that the UK do not penalize him for that. In the past they have, but I'm just hoping his article is so good that they will overlook that. Because if they don't overlook that, this will make the first cohort ever in my entire time of leading CIPR to all be at pass level. That is terrible, terrible. So you can imagine they got a worse reading than you guys. Usually people do well in this, but others fail, and you'll see why as we go on. So the call to action, use persuasive speak. I found myself writing to many of the responses that there is no call to action, the conclusion is very weak, author should use more persuasive language and link the call to action to the recommendations or to the research done. So that is the kind of feedback the moderator and I were giving on some of these thought leadership articles. Now, that is the 7-part framework. Let me look at the next slide and then I pick your thoughts on what I've shared. The next slide just pretty much summarizes everything I have shared on the first 7-part framework. It talks about how your thought leadership is made up of 3 things: quality research, and we have said all of you will have to do quantitative and qualitative. Please do not inform yourself. Do not advise yourself. Do not call yourself for a meeting and tell yourself that my interviews are enough. No, they're not. Please, guys, do desk research, do interviews. If you can have a focus group, even better. Do content analysis, have questionnaires, go the extra mile. Why? From that quality research, you will get compelling ideas. Then, within that quality research, you will get experts to talk about the topic. And now you will be able to analyze what the experts are saying. And when you put all these 3 things together, you will get your thought leadership article. Have I made sense? Now, let me hear from you. I have been talking a lot. Let's begin with Mamtaz. No, I think you said you're on the road. Sylvia was in a bad mood. Phyllis, talk to us.
Very overwhelming, very overwhelming. But I think it's important to just capture everything you've said. I think I've become a secretary who does short, what was it called? Short,
Shorthand.
Shorthand, yes. So I guess something I really wanted to know is about the target, writing about the target audience and target publication. Where do you put that? At the beginning, at the middle, or anywhere in the document?
Very well. Very good question, Phyllis. That should not appear anywhere in your thought leadership. It shall be put in part B. We will get to part B. Part B is your reflecting. So your article should not, we will make reference to part B to know who this article was targeting and where it's being published at. Is that clear, Phyllis?
Yeah, that is clear. Then I was also wondering, you've said we can do secondary data analysis. If you do just secondary and you don't do primary, is that fine, or you have to do primary and secondary?
You know what? I'll tell you, Phyllis, I've marked this paper since 2010. Okay. And my little observation has been, when students limit themselves to just secondary, the data they get is not strong. Hence, their article becomes compromised. However, if you have within your disposal very strong secondary data that is rich in content, then go for it. But if you don't have that luxury, my advice is interview the experts, interview the key stakeholders, and I'm very sure you will get something good out of it. Phyllis, does that help?
That is very helpful, yes.
Gloria, your thoughts?
This helps a lot, and at least now we have a clear guideline of how to move with what we are doing. It's a challenge, but I think one that can be taken on if one is positive, considering the guidance that you've given. I think now I can start to do something sensible. Thank you.
All right, Alex, your hand is up.
Right. So just a quick question, Anya. And I'll be a bit selfish here. I'll refer to my topic.
That's fine. Take advantage, because after today, you can't talk to any of us.
Yes, absolutely. So my topic is on, the rise of digital, digital media, digital comms in shaping, political campaigns. And I'm wondering whether I'll be able to strongly bring out the second point, why current approaches fall short. Because I know we've had some brilliant campaigns done on digital media. And I'm thinking about the 2016 elections in the US and the referendum in the UK. But I'm just thinking, in terms of shaping it, why current approaches fall short, would I still be within, would I still be within the realms of would I still be right in saying that perhaps, we could do more in that sense? such that I'm not really critiquing what has been done in terms of digital comms. I'm just saying that it can be, enhanced and perhaps, taken to other parts of the world. And I'm thinking, the South, the Southern Hemisphere, so in Latin America and Africa. So just to ask that, just to seek that clarity. Yeah. Then the second one is, this just. I know we've discussed a lot. We've been very what's the word today? We've been you've been very professional. You've been very tough on us. Allow me to introduce a light moment here, Anne. So there's something I shared on the page, and I was asking.
Go ahead, Alex.
So someone wrote a tweet, and I found it very funny. In fact, I shared it on the page, and I asked, and I want to ask you this question: are exams really necessary? Can't we just swear an affidavit that we've understood? Thank you.
Alex, it's good to have people like you around. You lighten the seriousness of everything. So well done. I agree with you. Exams are not necessary. That's why CAPR has no exams, but you do assessments. But to answer your most serious question.
All right, Touche, thank you.
I got you on that one, right?
Touche.
All right. So, when you were discussing what you want to do, I don't know whether our Ugandan friends will relate with this, but we can explain that to them later. You reminded me of Peter Kenneth in the last elections.
Yeah, and correct. Yeah, 2013. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an excellent case study of the role of social media and the role of digital comms in political campaigns. One, I want to encourage you to, by all means, critique. However, going back to the Peter Kenneth, and let me just give our Ugandan students some background. Peter Kenneth was one of the presidential aspirants, and he's a good-looking guy. So he thought that by going into social media, he was actually among the very first presidential guys to want to use social media to brand position himself. So we were very impressed because that was a first. But what shocked Peter Kenneth is, because of his good looks, a lot of people gave him a lot of clout on social media. But that clout did not translate into the ballot box. So when the voting came, poor Peter Kenneth, he had 1 million followers, but nothing close to that. I don't even think he was at a 16th of 1 million. I don't remember the figures right, but it was so embarrassing. He could have been at, I don't know, less than 200,000. Alex, do you remember what his numbers were?
About 100K? Yeah.
Yeah, 100K. So that was really, really sad. So for me, you should bring the aspect of stakeholder engagement, stakeholder communication within the digital space. People need to understand how leads are converted within the digital space. And the only way leads can be converted is by involving the stakeholder. So that, for me, should be the approach you can use. I don't know, Zakayo, do you have anything to add on to what Alex is talking about? Okay, Bruno loves politics. So
okay, Bruno,
before Zakayo, Bruno, go ahead.
Thank you. Like I think Alex, or I don't know who, apparently been a columnist for, of course, Matters Politics. For the Stand, in the recent past, I've been writing for the Daily Nation. But when submitting the article, we were having a chat with Mr. Orindi, and he was telling me how one thing you've observed, how especially those people who feel like they're good at something, it's where they really get it wrong, especially when it comes to CAPR. So telling me how this writing part, as much as I find it easy, might be the hardest part. And I wanted to find out, because let me also be mean like Alex, considering I work for KOTU. I was writing on COVID-19 disruption and how gig economy can be the future of work and the place of trade unions. And I was looking at, the changes, things like Uber, and this other, working from home, Glovo, and these other gig economy platform, digital labor platforms, and how trade unions can organize such workers, promote their rights and all that. But in my chat with Mr. Orindi, he told me that probably I should focus on one platform. And I'm trying to do that hardly, but I'm finding it so hard because COTU, where we sit, we are like an umbrella body of all trade unions. So we are looking at not only Uber, which is now in the hospitality sector, in the transport sector. We're also looking at Glovo in the hospitality sector. We're looking at Safaricom, the M-Pesa agents and all that. So I wanted to seek your direction probably on that. Or does it come at somewhere in part 2 where now you pick on a specific case, or can I just be very broad in part 1?
All right, Bruno. Number one, please be very specific. Your article must be narrow and specific. I'll tell you this, the previous cohort, not the most previous, the guys who've just, I've just marked their unit 3 assignments. 3 ladies wrote on Glovo, on Uber, and another one, I think on ESG articles, and they got excellent passes. So because they narrowed down. So my advice is pick one that COTU is mainly interested in and run with it. Bruno, is that clear?
Very clear.
All right, great. Zakayo, sorry, I know Bruno digressed, but that's okay. Zakayo, did you have anything to add on? Then we move on.
Yeah, just to Alex, I think if he narrows down to issues, it will add more value to him, given that how we behave as Kenyans. Sometimes what is up is not what guides how we vote. So you could mount an excellent digital campaign, but at the end of the day, we'll vote still along on ethnic lines. So for him, I think he could identify issues that resonate well with the youth who mostly use the digital platforms, and see how the article can persuade them towards, it's a difficult one, just like he says, because again, voting and politics in our country is not that advanced like in developed countries. The countries he's mentioned, we still vote along ethnic lines. So no matter how hard you campaign based on issues, when it comes to the ballots, it's still the same old thing. So for Alex, I think it's going to be a hard one, but he's equal to the task. I just wanted to add that bit. Thanks.
All right. Alex, it's not tough. In fact, it's very exciting because you need to look out and compare with what other people in different spaces have done. However, you need to also look at the key messaging that's put out within the digital space. Was the key messaging informed by culture? Was the key messaging informed by the needs of the youth or the needs of the voters? So there's a lot that goes into the social media that helps to bring about behavior change. So if that did not bring about behavior change, what could have been the cause of that? And here in Kenya, you'll need to look at, of course, ethnicity, culture. There's a lot of things that take place in Africa that inform how we vote. So Alex, we've given you too much. We're moving away from you. Ruth, I need to move on.
Thank you, Anne and Zakaya as well for the excellent feedback. Thank you.
All right, great. Ruth?
And a quick one, just back on the guidelines on how to structure part 1. At what point do you add subtitles or subtopics in part 1, or that is only in part 2?
All right. You know what? Use your own discretion, but avoid too many subtitles. As a rule of thumb, if you can stick to just 3 in part 1, you can have, of course, your introduction, you can have your X factor, and you can have your call to action. It all depends on you. If you're going to put graphics, maybe you might want to have a subtitle that guides us on what the graphics of the day are about. So I would not give you a rule for that, but you would need to use your discretion. However, in part 2, as we get there, I have pointed out the subtopics that you need to have.
All right,
okay, Ruth?
Thank you. Yes, that's fine. Great.
All right, great. So let's quickly move on. What you can see there, I'm not going to spend time on that, which is the assessment checklist. By now, you guys have become experts. You know that this is pretty straightforward, and I've touched on this. So let's move on. This is the feedback sheet, which you will receive when your grades are finally released by the UK. I have a lot of work to do, guys. For every student, you will get this. So I usually tick box this for every student. And then I also give a comment from myself. I give comments, lengthy comments on each and every individual assignment on what you've done right and what you've done wrong. Then the comments from the moderator, who's John Orindi, those comments go to the chief examiner in the UK and mine as well. So what the chief examiner does, they read my comments, they read John Orindi's comments, they remark the paper, and then they decide on the grade. So this is what I use when marking. John also uses the same feedback sheet. So pretty much it looks at your research. How well did you do the research? Now, the second part there identifies and examines a range of relevant sources. Guys, right now, a lot of universities are open. So you're able to get books, go into Google Scholar, get the books you can. If you can enroll in any, what are they called, e-resources, please do that. The more books you consult, the better for you. Evaluate collected data and information using appropriate methodology. This is where the quantitative and qualitative come in. If you just depend on secondary research, you can be sure here you will get, it will be ticked under fail. But if you do both qualitative and quantitative, and you've done your desk research, and it's we can really tell from part 2, even from the analysis, that this was a research well done, then we will tick under excellent or good pass. The next one, assesses topic of inquiry using a range of relevant models. Again, part 2, which models did you use? Which theories have you quoted? Which research tools did you use? The stronger and the more the tools, the better for you. Article is in a format appropriate for the target audience. Again, write your target audience in part 2, write your target publication in part 2. The tasks meet specified word counts. So if you write way below the word counts, again, it will go to an F. The next point there, presents a coherent, well-structured article that either presents expert knowledge supported by evidence and reasoning. Your evidence is the research. The reasoning is what are you saying? How well have you put your research into perspective? Or presents a persuasive perspective. My advice is use a persuasive approach backed by research throughout the entire article. Style of language is suitable for purpose and for the intended audience. I'll tell you the unforgivable sin in public relations. And a lot of you guys, my friends from Uganda, I'll highlight you because a lot of the spelling and punctuation errors came from Uganda. You guys, the first cohort I had from Uganda was so excellent. They were better than Kenyans. In fact, the first and the second cohorts, and I used to tell our Kenyans, you guys, Uganda has taken over. Now, Ugandans, Kenyans are taking over again. Please, let's be careful when it comes to spellings, punctuations, and grammar. Once again, the UK are petty, and I keep saying that. Just 1 or 2 spelling errors in the article, and they write to me. That alone makes them know that this person should redo this paper. So that's
we are rebounding in Unit 2. Uganda is rebounding in Unit 2.
Okay, excellent. I'm happy. Please, and I'm very serious. The first 2 cohorts, the Ugandans stole the day in the grades. They got excellent passes, and I wondered what's happening to Kenya. So good. Please make a rebound, but the Kenyans here won't allow you. They'll work even harder. Kenyans, I was waiting for at least one of you to support me.
We won't let you down.
Very well said. Okay, and
Agreed,
finally,
agreed.
okay,
Africa
awesome.
Mashariki.
Well done, well done, well done. Finally, attributes any source accurately and in an appropriate style. So I think that's on in text referencing, especially for part 2. Keywords in the article, guys, I'm not going to take too much time here. Some of this you can easily read for yourselves because I had shared this with you. So let me quickly move on. Expert perspective, I have explained what expert perspective means is explore other literature from experts who have written on the same subject matter, cite their findings, and present their perspective on the matter. When you read people's quotations, you might want to put some of these quotes and opinions as excerpts within your article. I have repeated again, use real world examples. And yeah, the next point there is remember, expert perspective is not only limited to other authors, but you can also use the findings from key informant interviews. Remember, I have advised every one of us, let's do both qualitative and quantitative. Make sure to interview experts on the subject matter at hand. This is on research. Again, I'm repeating myself from what I've said previously. Make sure you do interview surveys, focus groups. You can see there I have written read, evaluate collected data, but most importantly, guys, tie the findings to the narrative. Use more descriptive statistics derived from the research done. So it's one thing doing research, and you can collect a lot of data, but it's another thing using those findings and tying them to the narrative. Please, guys, don't waste the research you've done. Tie it to the story so that as we read, that story is well informed by the research that you did. This entire slide should feature within your article. Let me see whose hand is up. Gloria?
Thank you, Anne. The reflective model. There's I think when John gave me feedback, he talked about the use of reflective models. Do you care to talk a bit more about the use of the reflective models?
Okay, I'll tell you this, Gloria. Unfortunately for us Africans, we were not taught how to reflect. However, reflection, if you Google, there's so many reflection models. The easiest way to reflect is everything you do, ask yourself, for example, in part 2, and we're going to get there, and that's where the reflection comes in. The reflection model only applies to part 2, Gloria, not part 1. And it is as easy as asking yourself, why did I choose this topic? Why did I choose this research methodology? Why did I choose this theory? You're answering the question why in every sentence you put in part 2. That's the easiest way to explain reflection. If you want to go more technical, there are reflection models, which in my view are not really necessary. However, if you want to go that route, there are so many reflective models you can use online, but on condition you're answering the question why in every sentence, that will do. Gloria, does that help?
Yes, please, it does. Thank you.
Henry Mkasa, your hand is up.
Yes, and just I don't know whether I'm mixing up two things here. When you talk about data and information that we need to collect, are you referring to statistics about the subject matter you're investigating, or the number of interactions you're doing with experts and interviews and questionnaires?
I'm talking about the statistics, the narratives you're going to get, the content you're going to pick up, the findings that you get out there in the field. Is that clear, Henry?
Yes, please. Thanks.
All right. Anyone else? Okay, so let's quickly go on. Style of writing, I have repeated this. Bring out your aha moment. Be creative with graphics, use persuasive language. I will not spend time on this. Evoke the aha moment and answer the so what question. All right? The so what question. With everything you write, so what? Why is it important? Please, guys, train yourself. And that is what we call critical reflection. Any sentence you write, so what? If you can answer the so what question, you're good to go. What you can see on this slide are quotes from a deputy editor. Her name is Karen at Harvard Business Review. And what I found very interesting with these quotes are the use of research. So Dillon says, we are not looking for a single company to tell its own story. We are looking for an academic who has pulled a lot of research together to draw conclusions. Conclusions such as, why does a busy executive in another part of the world need to read this piece now? Who does this theory apply to? What are the implications of it? To sum up, make sure your pitch shows how a possible piece would matter to anybody other than your firm. And I quote, a very common mistake is to think that the fact that your company does X and Y will make an interesting story. That's never going to be something that will be run by Harvard Business Review. Research is very important. So guys, it's not University of Nairobi or Anne Geshohe who keeps pushing for research. Research is the bedrock of strategy. Research should inform everything that you do. Part B, this is where the reflection comes in. So here you can put your subtopics as follows. You begin by giving us the rationale for selecting the topic of inquiry. Why did you choose that? Then the second thing you do after you've given us the rationale is you break down your topic. So we're going to use Alex's topic, which is on digital and the political landscape. So I will expect to see concepts broken down, like a paragraph on social media, a paragraph on the political landscape, a paragraph on political communication, a paragraph on public participation, anything that is, any concept that is tied to the topic, break it down. That has to come out. So you will look at your topic and ask yourself, which aspects of public relations does this topic speak to? Then you're going to break that down. Then you will also give us a relevant theory or model that supports your topic of inquiry. Then you will tell us, now this is the critical analysis of data is where you can give us your graphs, your pie charts, your analysis of the research you've done. Now, the next two sections are very, very important. Personal learnings and future application. All this is only in part B. Please remember, allow me to take you back. When you're talking to us about the rationale of why you chose the topic, that is where you will tell us who your target market is, who your target publication is. Please don't forget that. When you talk to us about your rationale, kindly tell us who your target publication is and who your target audience is. Also, if you do manage to get a link with the editorial guidelines or anything that you can copy and paste there that shows us the editorial guidelines of your publication of choice, that will be much appreciated. Now, personal learnings. How was this journey? Don't worry whether you're so introspective. That's what the UK want to see. What did you learn as you did this research? Now, future application, what does that mean? What that means is, how will the thought leadership article inform your future practice? Because you've done research on it, you've discovered stuff. So how does it inform your future practice? Guys, all these small points have marks to your final assessment. So please do not ignore that. Conclusion, we're looking for originality. We're looking for new insight. We're looking for a unique argument. We're looking for how can the reader apply this in real life experiences. We're looking at persuasive writing. Is it a pleasure to read, or will I fall asleep? Will John Orindi hit his head on the laptop as he's grading? The publisher wants to understand how the logic of your argument will flow. The next two slides are really what should have even informed you as you are preparing your draft. You should ask yourselves, what is the central message of the article? What is important? Why do managers need to know about it? What is the source of your authority? What academic, professional, or personal experience will you draw on? Once you can answer this on your draft, you're good to go to the next slides, because now the next two slides are what you should ask yourself after you finish your draft. Is this new? What is it based on? The antecedents are, has this been written before and what was said? Did it persuade me? Do I find it interesting? Do you think a typical HBR reader or Red Pepper reader, Daily Monitor reader, New Vision, what do we have in Kenya? Daily Nation, The Star, Business Daily, the East African paper, Parents Magazine, the marketing, Marketing Digest, PR Digest, whatever publication you choose, will it be found interesting? Does it address an issue that matters to managers? Can it be put into practice? The next, again, what are the holes in the thinking? So then these two slides should guide you after you've done the first draft. Are there good illustrations? Have I seen the same company examples used to illustrate a multitude of other models, theses, or points of view? The next slide, and we are ending, I know it's 11 now, is a very interesting statistic, and I want to hear from the ladies. Only the ladies. Patricia, what do you think of that slide? Read it, and I want to hear your thoughts.
Okay, typical reader. Dillion describes HBR's average reader as someone who is, quote, in the C-suite or aspires to be in the C-suite. Other stats are, is a college-educated 95%, is a college-educated 95%, male 59%, in his mid-40s. Holds a managerial professional position at 73%, has $157,340,000 annual household income, has in excess of 1.47 million total in asset value, spends 2 hours with each issue, that is 35%, never throws away issues, 94% took some action after reading HBR.
Patricia, what do you think of that analysis of Harvard Business Review reader?
I think it's quite accurate in some aspects, especially the never throw away issues. I think I can attest to that. It makes a lot of sense that a lot of them are in managerial professional positions. So these are the kind of publications they may read, and that most are also college educated. And about half, 59% are male, so I would assume that the rest may be female. And with quite a high household income, it actually does make sense to me. Thank you.
Tess?
Hi. So interestingly, I'm seeing the importance of being very clear about your target audience and the publication that you're going to be writing for, and being very clear if you're going to be speaking to that target audience. So from what Patricia has just read, it looks like he's a very intentional individual, who explores the HBR. And I'd say, I would assume, like she did, that the remaining, is it 60% is female? I'd say that's a very niche, like, target audience that they are, referring to. Yeah.
Ruth.
Yes, Arn.
What do you think of this statistics?
They're quite interesting. I had to Google the CISO to understand what C means. They're quite interesting and represent a high bar in everything that should be done and how everything should be represented, in my view.
Okay, Gloria?
I'm looking at an accomplished stakeholder group that looks to read articles that inspire, that will propel change, greater earnings, and not things that don't add much value. That's what I'm looking at.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Gloria. Enoch, I'm wondering whether your account has those figures I'm seeing there, because you're in the C-suite in your company. Enoch?
And I'm on a highway driving but listening.
All right,
I'm in the southern
Enoch.
district of Masaka, but attentively listening.
Okay. Now that you're listening, Enoch,
Yes.
do you please do the math in Ugandan currency?
Yes.
Of 157,000 US dollars. I am curious to know in Ugandan currency what that is.
157,000
dollars.
157,000 dollars. 157.
Henry, have you done it? Yes, Muhammad?
That's 580 million Ugandan shilling.
Yes, Muhammad. Can you imagine? That's a kind of money an average Harvard Business Review male reader in the UK has. What do you think? Or in the States, actually? Muhammad, is that something you can relate with? All right, Enoch needs to mute. Enoch needs to mute. Okay, so the moral of all this is, whatever you write, you are targeting a specific niche. So the content must add value to the level where they are at in life. So this content must be informed, must be factual, must be beneficial in the long run. So to wrap this up, there's a picture right there, a photo. Now, this photo, if you can know, you might not recognize me because I was smaller there. So this was maybe 3 years ago. We used to run this program under a college called McKinney College. Before now, I moved it to the University of Nairobi. This picture is a happy yet sad picture for me. I say happy because it was one of our biggest intakes at the time. But sad to say this, that only half or less than half of the people you see here managed to graduate. A lot of them gave up in Unit 2. Unit 2 is the halfway mark where you can either go forward or go backwards. Anytime in a race, a lot of people get tired. It all depends on how you start. Because halfway through, you can get tired. but you must keep pressing on. And that's where each and every one of you is at. As I've run you through today's class, some of you are thinking, this is a tall order. We are getting into December. I have so many festivities. I have a family to take away for Christmas. And some of you might want to give up. My advice is, please do not be in the lot that gives up now. Try for the next 2 weeks. Do your assignment before the festivities get here. Then when the festivities are here, put your assignment away. Then come back after the festivities to edit your assignment and hand in. But if you wait for the festivities and then get to your assignment, I am sad to tell you, you will be in the category of the statistics of the people who dropped out and never came back. A lot of these people here are in top PR positions, but they got so busy, which I totally understand, that it became a bit difficult to get back. But all is not bad news. A lot of them also graduated, and that's the next photo you can see there of a few people who graduated. Alex, you will recognize a few people who are your friends right there. So guys graduated, so it is possible to graduate, and this is way in 2018. Right now, our graduations are colorful, they are bright, and those of you who watched our last graduation will attest to that. I want to see every one of you, God willing, in the July graduation. We had a meeting with the UK the other day, and they're going to have a graduation, a physical graduation in the UK in July. So when you do well, you guys can save up and make your way to the UK to graduate. If not now, in the next graduation. However, the University of Nairobi also has a graduation. But for you to get here, guys, do not give up. Please do not give up. Let us all finish strong. Great. So that wraps up today's class. Let me hear your parting shots and wish you well. Who wants to go first? Yes, Phyllis.
Mine, before I say any parting shot, mine is a question. You talked about the editorial guidelines or policy by the media houses. What if, like I've checked on Daily Nation, theirs is a download. It's not a link you can put in the document. What happens if you can't get a link?
That's fine. Just let us know. Are you able to get a snapshot of that download? Just to prove that indeed it's a download?
Okay.
Phyllis, are you able to do that?
Yeah, I have downloaded it, but the link now, you can't, if I give you a link, you can't click on it and get to the page, yeah?
Okay, I hear you. Get a snapshot of the download. It can be a compressed or just something small, and that's enough.
Okay. Then I attach it as an appendix.
Yes. No, we don't like appendix. UK don't like appendix. Just put it in towards the end of your personal learnings.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's a reflection, so that's fine. All right. Okay, so very quickly, are we all okay? I will not call out your names because that will take time. Anyone with a burning question or comment?
Can I?
Yes. Okay. All right. So we have Paul and we have Odira. So let's start with Paul and then we go to Odira.
Thank you. And because I missed out on the opportunity to say something when we were starting off. Maybe like Jude, I was preparing a 10-year-old who's going to be a peg boy. So when you called me out, we're finishing him up. So, but I'm glad. Thank you for taking us through once again and for motivating us to keep going. I think this is very helpful. And I look forward to Unit 2. Orinda has already gotten back to me, Buan Orendi, with encouraging remarks on the topic that I intend to do. And I do a lot of writing, but I hope I do give it a great shot this time around. So I thank you and I look forward, and I thank our colleagues who have been helpful back and forth. I think it's a very enjoyable journey with lots of challenging twists and turns, but we'll get there. Thank you very much, Anne. and team. And thank you to Miriam as well. I think she's helpful when you reach out. I had some issues and missed out on one of the lectures, but she was very helpful.
I will let Miriam know that. Thank you, Paul. Odira?
Yes, and thank you so much. I wanted to request your thoughts on what I'm working on. I've been reflecting through as you took us through this guide, and I think I'm getting a little bit confused. I'm writing about COVID vaccination. My first assignment wasn't about the health sector, but this time I felt like I was cheating myself, so I decided to do something on vaccination. But I'm trying to look at how to give it a business angle, and it's not coming out clearly. And from the guidance that I got from John, every other thing was fine, but he told me my topic was still a little bit confusing. It needs to be pointed to one specific area. So I don't know how serious is it that it should be given a business angle.
All right, Odira, the most recent article I have marked that got an excellent pass was talking about the uptake of COVID vaccinations here in Kenya. And that was really brilliant. So you can take that twist and use it in Uganda. And I would be curious to know how the uptake of the COVID vaccinations has been in Uganda. That's a business angle.
Okay.
Odira?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so you can play around with that.
Okay. Okay, then that's encouraging, really.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you
You're
so much.
welcome. Patricia, you're unmuted. All right. Anyone else?
Hi, Anne. This is Fatima. I dropped out for a bit there. Just on the editorial guidelines, do we need to include that in part 2? And can we just summarize what the guideline is, or do we have to copy paste it from the publication?
All right. Okay. Phyllis had asked a similar question, but I think you were out then. Yes, if you can get a link, put it. If you cannot get a link, summarize. Summarizing, it doesn't have to be much. So if you summarize, we're okay. Fatima,
Okay.
is that okay?
Yeah. Yes, thanks.
Okay, so a quick question. When I shared these notes, people were blank. Yet after I've gone through them today, they are very straightforward. Why is that the case? That one I'll pick. All right, Phyllis, yes.
I've picked myself. It was actually, I was one of the first to react and say it feels like it's something that we should have been taken through. It seemed very technical, not technical, a lot of information. So personally, I felt like information overload. But now that you've taken us through, it is quite something. It has really opened our minds, if I can speak for the rest. And I think this was really needed. Let me tell you, Anne, of all the classes I've done, this is the one I look up to, because once you take us through this, our minds are really opened. Sometimes you feel like it's very difficult until we have the last class. Then you realize, so this is what we've been doing. And I really like how you were mentioning the first part. I write everything you say. I try to write everything you say, then I go through it as I'm doing my paper. So I realized after saying the first, when we were talking about the model, you talked about the first part, and then you say this is where content analysis comes in. So I write that, and then you say, you write, and then you say this is where issues manage. Now I can tie the classwork we've been doing to the assignment, which is really, really good. And I really thank you for taking time to ease it out for us. I've been through the CIM, and it was CIPR method of teaching is very difficult and very different from what I'm used to. In CIM, you're spoon-fed. So you would do page 1 and you give the tutor, and then they sit down with you and they take you through, and you do part 2, and then you sit down again, and you sit down and you keep sitting down, and then we fail all of us again. So this is more of self-education, and I feel like we're not being spoon-fed, but we really have to do a lot of our own teaching Now, last comment, and you know, if you allow me, I can talk at you tomorrow. The last comment, you had talked about students joining, so many students joining in, and then at the point of graduation, you're only very few students. My diploma for CIM, I think I had have told you, Anne, we were like 30 students, and people were talking in the class. I normally don't talk much in class. And I didn't have much to say because I'm from the government background. So people in private sector are very good and they're up to current. You know, they have the databases and they have the dashboards. But when we were graduating, we were only 3. So this is just to encourage everyone. When you feel like dropping out, let's chat on WhatsApp. Let's encourage you. Even me, I might feel like dropping out, but I'm a tough nut to crack. I don't drop out. So we can chat with each other and we can encourage each other.
Phyllis dropped off a bit there, but very good points. Very, very good points. Tessie, I'm getting to you. Yeah, I liked the encouragement from Phyllis, guys. Work as a team, hold each other's hand. Don't agree to drop off. All right. One of the reasons I handle prep classes is because I'm the one who marks your papers. I avoid teaching. In the past, I used to teach, but I realized every time I teach, we'll end up discussing the assignments, and that's not a good thing. So I prefer not to teach, but only handle you guys at the very beginning when you're new and at the end of every assignment. So thank you, Phyllis, for your thoughts. That was brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Tess, your hand was up.
Yes, Anne, and I'd really want to speak from the point of I was the one who shared the prep notes and the attack came. So first, I'd say largely it was psychological in this way that you had already mentioned that Unit 2 is the hardest, and a lot of people drop off at Unit 2. So there's already that fear that this is the unit that a lot of people don't, get across to the other side. Then having done Unit 1, where we started with a bit of the prep, where you gave us an understanding of how we're going to go through the assignment and how we're going to do the brief, I think there was an expectation already to do the same for Unit 2, especially because it's the hardest. So I'd say that when you shared the prep notes, there's already that, expectation and fear to understand the notes. However, I think now after this prep class, a lot of us are comfortable. And I'd say a lot of my colleagues have become closer in this Unit 2 in the WhatsApp group. And like Phyllis has said, and thank you for that encouragement, teamwork is very important. Yeah. And to mention to every student, yes, I relayed all your questions and frustrations to Anne. Thank you, Anne, for coming through.
Yeah, Tess is a good one. She lets me know exactly where people are upset, people's concerns, and yeah, I try to help in where I can. So thank you, Tessie, for always being a good class rep. Thank you so much. So great, guys. I got a bit concerned and I wondered whether I'll share Unit 3 prep notes in advance. I'm not so sure I'll do that. However, I've made a few changes for Unit 3. When you come on board from January, your first 3 classes are entirely what you'll need for your assignment, meaning by the time you are writing your draft, you will write it after the first 3 classes because that's all you need. So I've made a few changes in the past. The 2 classes I have brought forward were always at the end. And anytime the students would write the first draft, it would always be a bit wanting. So I have brought the important classes very, like you start with those so that now you're ready to do a draft and you can get advice and work with your tutors way before. So my advice, please try and not miss at least the first 3 classes. Very, very important because you will need that to write your draft. Then again, you will send to John. Then he will be able to revert in good time as he has done for Unit 2. And again, it's very, very short. So you guys will be done very, very quickly. And the sad news is once you're done, People scatter and forget about each other. So guys, try and stay connected. and keep the CIPR conversation going on. I hope I've not left out anyone. For me, it's really to wish you all the best. You cannot discuss your papers with each other. You cannot call any tutor or myself. We can discuss on WhatsApp other things, not your assignment. I wish you all the best. Phyllis, your hand is up. Yes, Phyllis.
Just one comment, and I was hoping you'd encourage the ones who fail, if you are one of them, not to drop out but to continue, because it's really heartbreaking and heart-wrenching, because you believe you've done your best.
Phyllis, you must be a mother.
And I am of 3 boys, so yes.
And especially of boys, yeah. And boys are special. I have one who's 25, so I know, and 2 girls. So yes. Again, please. Failure means an opportunity to do better. As I mentioned earlier, there are 2 who have failed. The 2 who have failed, when they read the feedback that I took time to write, which is almost half a page, they will see that it is big mistakes that they overlooked. For example, failure of writing SMART objectives. That one is a fail, quick fail, because crafting of SMART objectives was the essence of the assignment. So it's big mistakes that were overlooked and were in black and white on the prep notes. So please don't be discouraged. The good news is, and this is for everyone, when you fail, the UK allows you 2 receipts without paying anything. So the UK allows you 2 receipts. You can receipt the paper twice and you don't have to pay again. I know we have a competitor here in Nairobi who is charging students when they fail, but that's not right. The UK does not charge. So we don't charge you to receipt a paper. So those of you, the 2 who have failed, immediately you get your grades, reach out to me so that when you're submitting assignment 3 in March, you will have redone your assignment 1. Hopefully you'll have marked. Usually no one fails twice. That one, we spoon feed you, we hand hold you, and we make sure you do not fail. Then when you do the 2 assignments together, we will all finish together as a cohort and graduate together. So that's my encouragement. Phyllis, I'm a mother. Have I tried a bit?
Done very well. Thank you.
All right, great. Okay, guys, sorry we've gone overboard 6 minutes. Please try and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay safe and be good. It's a wrap from me.
Thanks, Phyllis, for bringing the soft side of Anne today. Thank you, Anne.
Yes, thank you, Phyllis.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Patricia and Jude, people have left.